We have a saying about Zillow, and that is Zillow is not always high, Zillow is not always low, but Zillow is always wrong.
Zillow issues a dire warning on the housing market, warning us that home prices are going down in 2025 on a nominal level, exceeding seasonality and on a nationwide level. I warned you guys about this over the last 2 years to use the math to find the deal, because odds are you're not going to find the deal. The housing market's incredibly toxic. And so today we're going to go over Zillow's warning, and then we're going to go into the housing market report and rental market report by Zillow. And either way, I want you guys to do me a favor and understand that the housing market is about hyper local analysis. So if you really want to know what's going on in your market, you got to do a subdivision review, or if you don't have a subdivision, you have to look at what comps are selling for. And even then, I'm telling you guys, it's still one of the worst time in histories to buy. So you got to do the math. And if you do the math, you will find the deal of your dream. And you have to invest in yourself and learn how the math works. I have free courses on this. Literally go to the description of this video. But I'm going to start by showing you guys a couple data points, just 2 data points that I believe that mainstream media is intentionally omitting from their reports, as well as the talking heads. Now, as far as realtors, they're mostly just salespeople that are uneducated on the market. So I'm not really worried about them, but I will say this, okay? And this is hard to find, you guys, but a good realtor is worth their weight in gold. It's just, there's almost none of them. So do your due diligence. Now, this is something we've been hammering away at. This is real median household income, and this is adjusted for inflation. And the only thing I need to show you guys is that in 2009, we were making roughly $81,000. Fast forward to 2023, it's $80,610. So that 3-year period, income went down, and therefore these massively high prices and the cost of living explosion is not sustainable. One reason why this has taken so long is look at the national debt to GDP, the amount of government deficit and spending right now, as if we were fighting a war and already were in depression. That's happening right now, and absolutely nobody is talking about it. I've been waiting for Zillow to tuck their tail between their legs and start saying, actually, home prices are going to go down this year. And this is the article where that starts in 2025, titled Zillow Home Value and Home Sales Forecast. And I'm going to scroll down. We're going to just read a few things here. Zillow's latest forecast indicates a decline coupled with an increase in existing home sales for 2025. Now, I agree with that last part. If home prices go down, then sales will go up, unless what happens? Interest rates absolutely skyrocket, which is a possibility. It's possible we enter recession at the same time interest rates go up, even though they should go down during a recession. While mortgage rates are in an especially unpredictable period, they've actually been pretty much between 6 and 7% for the last 2 to 3 years. Barring unforeseen shocks, Zillow expects rates to end the year near 6.5%. So about what it's at now, a little bit lower. Home values are projected to drop by 1.9% this year. And look at this revision is from 0.6 in the positive. So they've made a 2.5% revision in just 1 month. The combination of rising available listings, supply and demand, remember, and elevated mortgage rates, which is crushing demand, is signaling potential price drops by year's end. I don't agree with that. I think we're going to see that during summer. And I'm talking about a nationwide decline. With increased supply, buyers are gaining more options and time to decide, while sellers are cutting prices at record levels to attract bidders. You guys, sellers are slashing their prices right now. Not only they're slashing their prices, as you can see from this Redfin article, they also have historically high buyers' concessions, which the appraisers are violating the law and not reporting it properly. Either way, 44% of home sellers are giving concessions to buyers, just shy of the highest level on record. When I look back at when I lost everything in 2009, I remember professionals, realtors, and loan officers predominantly, as well as investors, are acting foolishly optimistic right now, just like they did back then. In other words, you guys, realtors, investors, brokers, all of these people are reacting to the data. They can't forecast anything except, hey, just go buy a house if you can afford it. None of these bums talk about what affordability means. If you guys can go buy a house right now, it has wedge, it has cash flow, and it's at a 25% back end debt to income ratio based on your gross income, well, fine, go do it if you want. But these people are not explaining that. And I would encourage you guys, go to the comment section and see if there's any realtor rage, and be warned, no one cares about your investment like you care about your investment. And realtors are just salesmen. That's all they are. They're uneducated salesmen. Literally, a child can get a license, but it takes a sharp individual to use the data to help their clients, which is exactly what I'm trying to teach you guys. Speaking of teaching, I want to listen to this video that was made pertaining to 2009, and I want you to remember what they did to us back then. And I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you think that they're going to bail out the housing market once again? Second question, if they do, what are you going to do about it?
We turned it right over to Ben Bernanke and Hank Paulson.
And they said they needed the authority to use $700 billion to unstop the credit markets.
And sitting in that room with Hank Paulson saying to us in a very measured tones, no hyperbole, no excessive adjectives, that unless you act, the financial system of this country and the world will melt down in a matter of days.
Now that we can look back in history, I want to remind you guys that a lot of that bailout, literally billions of dollars, went into the hands and pockets of CEO bonuses. And I can talk on this because I lost my house. So when I lost my house and had my bankruptcy and I was in the gutter and all that type of stuff, that bailout did absolutely nothing for me. The only people that helped was the bank that held my loan. That's it. I wasn't able to get credit because my credit was destroyed. Now, it was because of my bad decisions, and I failed because of them. The only thing that I would ask in turn is, if a company fails, let them fail. Do not take my tax dollars to bail them out, because what you do is you make it a higher likelihood that the rest of my life is going to be lived in poverty. So again, I ask you guys, will they bail out the housing market? And if they do, what are you going to do about it? This month's housing market report from Zillow: home values flatten as sellers outnumber buyers. There's that law of supply and demand at work. We're the realtors and everyone that were telling us to rush to buy because of supply and demand. I guess we're starting to see that those people were actually wrong, and that patience is a very wise thing to exhibit when you're purchasing the largest transaction of your life, despite what salesmen and women tell you. Home price growth paused and inventory swelled during what is typically one of the most competitive home shopping months of the year. We crushed seasonality. That is beautiful. Finally, that's despite mortgage rates reaching a 2025 low in March. And that's because, again, prices are freaking through the roof. Sellers made a strong showing in March. That's beautiful, putting more than 375,000 homes on the market, an increase of nearly 9% year over year. While new listing activity is still about 19% below typical March before the pandemic, it's steadily rising month over month and tracking closely with normal seasonal trends. While sellers, not buyers, we're talking about sellers, leaned on the gas, in other words, flooding the market with their distressed sales, buyers didn't keep up because income didn't keep up. I showed you guys that, and the prices are just out of reach for almost every single American, because we don't want no fraud houses. These are fraud, debt bubble, highly speculative assets, which we can now say are really liabilities unless you purchased smart and wisely and showed your patience in this market. And I'm talking to you, Trey. New pending sales were essentially flat compared to last year, even though average mortgage rates were lower at 6.65%. And that's compared to a 6.82% year over year. So that's about 30 basis points lower. And the sales did not go up. Finally, the mismatch pushed inventory up to 1.15 million homes. That's 19% over last year. But remember, you guys, the housing market is incredibly bifurcated. So let me show you the top 4 housing markets and what the active inventory looks like compared to pre-pandemic. Starting with the number 1 housing market, and this is by dollar amount. Just depending on the data, number 1 through 5 differ, but California, and I'm going to show you guys right now, has 57,759 listings, and that is higher than pre-pandemic. You can see here, January of 2020 and February of 2020 had less inventory. And when we go to December of 2019, we have more inventory than we had December, as you see here, of 2019. And that's in California. And look at the trajectory. It is shooting up, guys. Here's Florida. And not all housing markets are like Florida. Believe me, this is off the chart. I mean, this is way over. This only goes back till 2016. The inventory in Florida right now, look at it for yourself. It's been going up for about 2 years, since about July of 2023. So a little less than 2 years, it's been absolutely skyrocketing. I mean, they're going to have to adjust this chart next month when inventory comes out, because there's no more room on this chart. That's how fast inventory is going up in Florida. When we look at New York, that's not what's happening in New York. And that's what I'm saying, you guys. The housing market is bifurcated. And that's why local analysis is so important. In other words, stop listening to these grifters. How many grifters are now on YouTube saying, oh, the housing market is crashing, be warned. And then as soon as they hit stop on that video, they're out selling you real estate. These guys are freaking criminals, you guys. And if they're not criminals, these are, in my opinion, bad people that don't believe in what they're saying because they're still profiting off of you making bad decisions. And that goes to every single person that's grifting people, and yet they're warning people. Nevertheless, what I'm saying is New York has some room to go. So we may not see the same type of price declines in New York because they have more catching up to do before it completely implodes. And Texas, just like Florida, is almost off the chart with inventory. You guys see massive skyrocketing up. We are well over pre-pandemic inventory in Texas. So you're going to see Texas and Florida lead the way, in my opinion, with home price decline. And that's a primary result of new home inventory. And obviously affordability. And speaking of affordability, affordability is still challenging buyers. A mortgage payment on a typical home in March required about 35.3% of median income, but that's at a 20% down payment. They're saying that's a slight improvement over last year, but it's still incredibly unaffordable. Now, seller price cuts at record rates to help bridge the gap of buyers. Approximately 23% of listings on Zillow received a price cut in March, the highest share for any March since at least 2018. Some bullet points from Zillow for home values. Home values climbed month over month in 41 of 50 largest metro areas. But again, this is one of the busiest times of year. It should be exploding in every single metro. Now, home values fell on a monthly basis in 5 of 50 metro areas. But look at when we go to year over year. Home values are up from a year ago and only 34 of 50 metro areas, and home values are down year over year in 16 of the 50 metro areas. Largest drops in Austin at 4.6, Tampa at 4.5, San Antonio at 2.7. You see why I'm saying Florida and Texas. Phoenix down 2.5% and Dallas down 2.4%. Melody, if you're listening, you should be worried because Texas is leading the way over Florida so far. Inventory and new listings increased by 31.5% month over month. That is a massive surge of inventory. Now, new listings increased by 8.5% year over year, and we're still under pre-pandemic levels as a nation when we don't count new homes. When we count new homes, we're over this. But when we exclude and omit that data, we're about 19% away from where we were pre-pandemic. Price cuts, 23.5% of listings in March had a price cut. However, 24.6% of homes sold above their price last month, showing again the bifurcation. Newly pending sales increased by only 0.3% from last year. And rates, you guys, again, are about 30 basis points lower, and inventory is much higher. Market heat index, the strongest seller markets in the country are Buffalo, Hartford, San Francisco, Boston, and San Jose. The strongest buyers markets in the country is Miami. I don't agree with that. New Orleans, Jacksonville, and Tampa. So nothing in Texas. Asking rents increased by 0.6% month over month in March. That's awful. And 0.5% year over year. Rents are now 3.5% higher than last year. However, rents did fall on a monthly basis in one metro area, which is Buffalo, down 0.2%. Rents are up from a year ago, unfortunately, you guys, in 47 of the 50 largest metro areas. But what we don't see in those numbers is we don't see the incentives. For example, if you get your first and last month free in rent, then obviously your average rent payment is a lot lower than what they're reporting. Now, asking rents topped $2,000 amid steady seasonal growth. I wanted to go over the rent concessions so you guys understand what I'm saying. 39.8% of rentals on Zillow offered concessions in March. And that's what I'm saying. Just like with new homes, they are not reporting the concessions in the prices. And this is what's killing us right here, you guys. Rent affordability, well, life affordability, really. The median household would spend 29.4% of their income on a new rental in March. If you want to learn the math and not have to lean on your emotions, all you have to do is take my home buying course and my market analysis course, which is for free. You don't have to pay any money. You just have to decide right now, today, I'm going to educate myself on real estate and I'm going to become a winner because I'm going to be patient and I'm going to be smart with my money and I'm going to do the homework. Other than that, guys, let me know if you like this quick housing market report. Mitch says hello. We missed him today. And other than that, if you're out there investing in yourself, your life, real estate, you guys already know that I wish you luck and I hope you win.